we might as well get into it. What a perfect opportunity, right? I compared it, John, to Brady against the Ravens. All those issues Brady had against the Ravens, early 2010s. Tatum against the Heat feels like the same deal. Like, this is the team, this is the matchup that he needs to overcome. Brutal loss in 2020 to prevent him from going to his first finals. Now you get a chance for revenge, and Grant was talking about that just a few minutes ago. He was part of that series as a rookie, played a ton, obviously, as we remember, at center in that series. And they get a chance to get back for a really frustrating loss, and they're in a much better place now as a team. I think they're very well suited to beat the Heat. And honestly, I don't want to say I'm not worried about it, but I think they match up really good with the Heat. The Heat have struggled to score on them all year. It's a very, I don't want to call it stagnant offense, but deliberate half-court offense that's really centered around Butler getting off those mid-range shots and finding guys for threes. We saw the Celtics shut off the Bucks from three-pointer for the whole series. All 7 games, the Bucks never got going from three. So you're worried about attacking that Heat offense, the zone. Still something that could give the Celtics fits here.
It's always it, right?
We'll definitely see the zone. We'll definitely see the zone defense.
I don't want to be here for zone tweets because everyone just loses their mind.
Well, if the Celtics struggle, you're going to see it more and more often. Like, Eric Spoelstra is not afraid to pull that.
Oh my God, they're doing this thing that like I do with my 9-year-old daughter's team. It's a zone. Oh my goodness gracious! They can't solve the zone.
It's an annual tradition. It's almost like you see a cow when you drive by a cow and like the front. You're like, oh, look at cows. It's like you see the zone. You're like, oh, look, it's the zone. You just got to say it.
You got to be able to break it. And this is another series where you hope Rob gets back on his feet. I think he's important for this one. He didn't end up being important for this one. I think he helps you backside in this series. And sounds like he's doing better. You may just talked about his status. Said they
so
felt
what's
like
the latest there?
Yeah, so they felt like he could go, but they just want to keep him in a situational role for this one just because Al, Grant, and honestly Tice, who I thought had a low-key solid performance in this one. Those 3 were getting it done against Giannis inside. And if we remember back to the early portion of the series, some people were tweeting at me the off-ball defense that Rob was playing early on was kind of underrated, and I do think that was part of how Giannis really got going later in the series. But individually, he was getting picked out by Giannis, and I don't think they lost a whole lot from not having him.
What we really need to pay attention to is when you mention Tice, you have to point out that he only played 6 minutes, and that's,
he had that block though.
I know. No, I'm not saying dude. When Horford went out in the second, there's 2 stretches there. When Horford went out at the end of the first half, and Tice had to come in, and you knew he had to finish those 3.5 minutes, and Giannis is in the game. I was pretty nervous, and he acquitted himself extremely well there. And then obviously the 7.5 minutes without Tatum was the ball game really, because that was Milwaukee's opportunity to close, and the Celtics extended the lead. But all I'm pointing out to is not the quality of minutes; it's the minutes. 6 minutes means you had to play Al 40 again, and since
Al got worn down, didn't he?
And again, he's doing everything he can, and absolutely been a monster, regardless of what the box score says in terms of points. You're not going to get those 30-point games from him, but 6 points, 2 points, 8 points since the 30-point game there, on 7 field goal attempts, 6 field goals, 7 field goals attempts. That's kind of more in line with what you're going to expect with Al, but over 30, 35 minutes, he's doing that last 3 games. I mean, this entire season series, 40, 38, 41, 42, 39, 37, 36, massive minutes. So again, you need Rob, if only to mix it up a little bit. Even if Rob is going into a 10, 12, 15, 18-minute role off the bench and you stay with Grant Williams, or you go with a 3-guard lineup, depending on what the Heat throw out there, and you throw in Derek White and play Pritchard some more second-unit minutes earlier in the game, Rob's important. So you definitely want to see him.
Yeah, you want to have that starting lineup back together. It's
I don't know if you'll never get it. Here's the thing, though. If Rob's never going to be right, that bone bruise is going to cause pain and a little bit of swelling, and he's never going to be, the Rob he was before the meniscus surgery. At least
he
not
look good in warm-ups.
At least not this year. We talked about this before. I think Rob's the type of player who is 50% less effective if he's even remotely limited physically. So I don't love starting him. I actually just want him in there take the Tice minutes at this point, and be a second unit big. And I think stick with what you've got right now.
6
is probably
minutes?
better. No, not quite, but I'm saying 12, 15 minutes of spell
It's going to be tricky.
Yeah.
It's going to be tricky. He didn't look good in warm-ups, just tossing up a few light shots. He came out of the locker room late, and he obviously didn't play. So I don't think
he's starting again. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't love where he's at with 2 days to go until the series starts. And this whole series is going to be every other day. No layoff in this one at all. So.
I also don't think Rob is as close as they made it out. I think Rob
They want him in there for the rebound.
No, I mean, today it was, what does it hurt if we dress him?
Yeah.
It's go home if you lose. So might as well, even if he doesn't play, why not have him in uniform instead of street clothes if I absolutely need it? But I don't know.
You got to think there was some regret they didn't have him on the line in Game 5 when they gave up that rebound.
That's what I think. I would have just dressed him and not played him. Each of those games, if you just needed a minute, he must have been in pretty considerable pain. I mean, and he was available, but he wasn't able to play. What's up, Josue?
Nothing. No, just got really
blinded by the lights.
No. Yeah, for real. I honestly think it has a lot more to do with momentum. I think if Grant wasn't getting those shots to fall, maybe he would have mixed it up a bit. He may would have been forced to mix it up a bit, but I just didn't see the sense of throwing him in there in a Game 7 and having him play, 12, 13, 14 minutes a night. It just didn't make sense. I didn't think he would have matched the intensity of his teammates because we already saw glimpses of him in the series and he didn't look great. And I don't think all those days off would have helped going into this scenario. But against the Miami Heat, I think we see more of him. I think you want to counter that, what Bam Adebayo means to the Heat. I mean, I know he's not the same player we've seen, but on the defensive end, I think he can cause fits for the Celtics. That's something that you want to have as an advantage if you're the Celtics. Is someone in Rob that can help protect the rim and also just crowd the paint a bit. Make it harder for the Heat to get their buckets. Especially someone like Jimmy Butler who can attack and certainly likes the mid-range shot as well, but can also attack and get to the rim in a hurry.
Yep.
Here's an early preview of the Miami outfit.
I love it.
Hey, there we go.
Damn. Miami.
I love everything about this. Yes.
Bobby, we're going to be shooting on Ocean Drive.
So, Sway, I saw you had some trouble with the lights turning on there. I really got to protect my eyes. I don't know. Does anyone else here have blue eyes?
You're shining right now.
I got hazel eyes,
I think,
so I'm
blue eyes.
Whoa. Excuse me, Jimmy. You said hazel.
Sorry.
Don't get it twisted.
I don't know if you guys can tell. Don't let me get up to the camera. I don't want to.
Blue
I don't have that.
Ladies. Look out, ladies. I'm
eyes.
loving the way this lighting is right now, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Blue eyes is rough in the sun. So these are going to be critical. You're right, Jimmy. Sunscreen, man, I'm going to need like 90. I really am.
Yeah. No, we're going to get you Philadelphia cream cheese. Just rub it all over your face.
Just don't bring the Vegas hat. That's for Vegas only. All right? That's for Vegas only.
I was going to have
we're going to need something.
Interview.
Yeah, we're going to have Bobby looking like Mike Lowry out there.
It's going to be all over his nose. Just like, okay.
I don't know if the Vegas hat.
Bobby's gonna do this.
We'll need something.
Bobby's gonna have the button up unbuttoned while he does his reports, Miami style.
Totally.
By the water.
Oh, what a great matchup! Yeah, I love this.
SPF 900. I love it.
This is gonna be awesome. I don't know where
Bobby's
you guys
gonna come
are
out
at.
with his own SPF after this.
I don't want to
merch.
I usually feel like I have a pretty good feel for teams around the league. I don't get the Heat, and I don't want to.
You don't love Miami, and you haven't. You haven't feared them all year.
You've been dogging them since the beginning of the postseason, pretty much.
I just don't get it.
Get past the Bucks, and you're in the finals, pretty much, for the Celtics.
Lowry's on one leg, and again, I know they're deep, and these guys like Max Strus come up and get it done. That's the story of their team. But it's Butler shooting twos, and it's Hero shooting 44%, and Tucker jacking a few threes, and Bam has some monster games sometimes. That's the guy you really fear. But I don't know. Their offense to me is just really rigid in the half court. And look at the Bucks in this series. Their numbers in the half court were ghastly, like 84 per 100. Transition, if you keep the Heat out of transition, I think you could get this series in 5-6 games. I really do. Now, you worry about their toughness. You worry about their grit. You worry about all those intangible
That prediction
things.
is subject to change after a Game 1 loss.
Oh, come on.
I think no matter how many games it is,
that's what I mean. See, that's what drives me nuts. Not about
I think the expectation, regardless of how many wins it takes, you're not going to complain if it takes 7 again, but you should beat this team in my mind. You're the better team. You're the more well-rounded team, I think. And your defense, even though theirs is really good too, really showed that it's still the best in the league here against Milwaukee.
I gotta say though, tipping your hat to Miami. You know, they weren't wire to wire, but they were a top team all year long, and they had to endure injuries in and out all season long, and they stayed there. They never had a dip. You know,
they had a load management game.
Durant goes out, Brooklyn
won.
loses 10 friggin' straight. Chicago had some injury problems. They completely fell apart. You know, like Miami had a bunch, and they hung in there the whole time. I mean, they just did a whole series without Lowry, and I know obviously the Embiid thing negates that, but they don't miss a beat. They're really resilient team. So again, they're going to be tough. It's a tough team and a tough series. Like I said, the coaching and all of that stuff. I just don't think they're going to beat themselves.
No, and you always wonder. This might be the series. Just real quick, Jimmy, where I think Ime was obviously better in round one.
Clearly
Ime
the better coach. Each of the rest
better in round two, I think you can say, and then round three is probably the first time that you're looking at a coaching matchup where the other guy's got the upper hand pretty firmly.
At least
I don't know how big of a gap it is.
Pedigree and reputation. I trust Ime,
Sure.
for sure, because everything he's done, I think, has paid out this year.
Yeah.
I think you
got
guys,
Jimmy.
I mean, when it comes to predictions, I don't know if I have a number, if I have a Celtics and what, but I've been pretty consistent all along that I'm riding with the Celtics all the way until the end. I just like the way that they've been playing. I like their mental toughness right now. After that Game 5 loss, I think they believe in each other. They were the hottest team in the NBA going into the playoffs. It's kind of like in football, like if you're hot going in, you can beat any team. And it's a little bit different in a 7-game series. In football, a hot team can ride all the way to the Super Bowl. But in basketball, a fundamentally sound team that plays tough on both ends of the court like the Celtics do. They're young, they can withstand, a long playoff, series here, or a number of series now.
Yep.
Al aside, they're all pretty young out there and the peak physical condition. So I like their health compared to the Heat's health, certainly. These are all things that work in their favor. They're riding high right now, coming off a big series win where they had to win two must-win games, biggest games of their careers, and they all showed up. And they're all showing up at different points. Today was Grant. Pritchard showed up huge at a couple points. We've talked about, Tatum was just a regular kind of Tatum today, but he did have some moments in the game where, he looked like Tatum. And then Jaylen Brown, I thought, was a steady hand today, when Tatum was a little bit, kind of hindered with foul trouble. So everyone's kind of chipping in at points. They're going to get they're getting, we're back into this. There's really not much time here. You're starting back up again on Tuesday. So you almost have like today to sort of, enjoy the win. And then tomorrow you're full on to Miami and you're probably going there, So.
Can the Celtics do the Celtics? Okay. What I love about this team and what they showed me this series, which we needed to see, was the resiliency. Even when old December Celtics habits creeped in, and they did pop up a few times during the series, and could have cost them the series. At each time they dug deep, with the exception of Game 5, and did what they had to do. It was pretty impressive. Throw Game 1 out. I don't think they were ready there. I don't know if it's a layout or whatever. It's a real crap game. But every game after that, they really could have won them all. Even when they were down, they were never out. So I like the resiliency. But I'll ask you guys this question: do they have enough discipline to not do the Miami thing when they're in Miami?
Yes, yes, they do. And again,
that's a great question.
This goes back to Ime leading the charge now. I think that they respect each other and they respect Ime enough where they have a task at hand. It's a business trip,
That's
and
Miami's home court advantage, not the fans. It's the city it's being in Miami and what it does to people.
John, they don't have time to screw around. They fly in, they play. They have one game in between. They play the game.
I didn't know that's what you were getting at, John. Am I worried about the issues from Game 5 and their stagnancy creeping up? Yes. I'm not worried about them getting into in Miami.
I'm more worried about
the East Finals.
Bobby and Joe Sway in Miami than I am about the
Celtics.
Yeah, Bobby's never been to Miami. I don't know. He might go left.
I think that's the bigger concern, John. Tatum, Brown, they've been there before. They know how to handle it. Me, Keep an eye out.
How's Grant gonna handle Miami? I'm worried about Grant.
At 100 miles an hour. We know
hungover Bobby.
That's right. That series was in the bubble. Yeah.
All right. So not enough time to marinate. I'm not going to put everybody on the spot to do predictions here. What I'll tell everybody at home, check out clnsmedia.com. We'll put up a predictions post and we'll give you our thoughts on what we think the series is. We want to give it some thought, look at some of the matchups, find out a little bit more about what's going on with Marcus Smart, find out what's going on with Rob as well before we do all of that.